Hello and welcome to this episode of Point Counterpoint. We are here not to discuss a burning breaking news issue or a news development issue, but a very serious concern across many areas that we are going to talk about. We are here to discuss the rampant illegal sand mining that is taking place in various parts of Goa along the riverbeds, and this is an issue which is not just restricted to one part of Goa alone. We've seen this in South Goa as well as in North Goa. We are here primarily because of two reasons. One is the rampant violations of the High Court orders on keeping proper checks on the sand mining mafia, the use of CCTV cameras to monitor it, and the action that the state should take in order to prevent the rampant cutting of the riverbed, as it were, and the ensuing environmental disasters that's been happening. Now, of course, there's an other side to the debate or another spin where the building industry and the builders and others talk about the non-availability of sand, what's going to happen if sand mining is completely stopped. But those arguments have been going on for a long time, and there are responses to that, effective responses to that. Most importantly is that this rampant illegal activity is going on, and if mining could be stopped because of illegalities, then sand mining should definitely stop, because it's leading to huge impacts on not only our riverbeds, our bunds, our environment, the fish stock. Farms are getting destroyed, and so on and so forth. At the onset, let me say that we have made several attempts to bring in other stakeholders who need to be questioned. For instance, the captain of ports, the police authorities. For various reasons, they could not be available, which is unfortunate, because it would have been important for them to give their point of view. But nevertheless, we have a very strong panel of committed activists and lawyers. To start with, we have Uday Mahale, who is an activist and who is somebody who is fought against this for a very long time. Then we have Vinayak Mahale, who is the convener of the Uge Gram Sangharsh Samiti and ex-Sarpanch, and Norma Alvarez, who's needs no introduction, very senior advocate who's of course fought this matter through her Sand Defenders network, and she'll speak more about this. Norma, without much ado, I'll just request you to lay down the basic facts of the matter.
Yeah, thank you, Sujoy. Before I begin, I must thank the Herald for constantly highlighting the issue of illegal sand mining. I have seen several reports from the Herald of specific places where sand mining has been going on, pictures of trucks which are laden with sand leaving the site, stacks of sand and so on. And I will say that in the petition that is in the High Court, which I am arguing, I have often used clippings from the Herald to highlight the problem. But to tell you about the issue, see, the issue of sand mining has been one which is not only before this High Court, the Bombay High Court at Goa, but also before the Supreme Court. And directions have been passed from time to time by the Supreme Court and by the High Court in the matter. In the High Court, there were petitioners who had approached the court, pointing out at least about 4 or 5 years ago, that there was illegal sand mining happening in Goa on a very large scale. And the High Court, in a very detailed order, judgment of 18th December 2018, issued a slew of directions covering all the authorities, covering what the director of mines had to do, what the director of transport had to do, what the captain of ports had to do, what the police
This is in response to your petition?
No, this was not my petition.
I see.
This was a petition filed by an individual and the Federation of Rainbow Warriors.
I see.
They had filed the petition, and the judgment came in 2018, December 2018. In January, we found, now the we is a group called the Goa River Sand Protectors Network. Of this organization, one of the persons was a petitioner, Vijay Bakre was a petitioner in the earlier petition.
Right.
Now, since the High Court order seemed to be violated within the month, he approached the Goa Foundation, and Goa Foundation is a nodal agency for this river sand protectors network. So we approached the High Court in a contempt petition.
Okay.
High Court said it is too early. We have just passed the order and you are coming January. That is too early. I am sure government will do something about it. And initially, within the first 4 months, there was a reduction in the illegal sand mining. But by the end of the monsoons, that year the monsoons, that is, we are talking now 2019 monsoons, the whole problem had started again by November, December. We filed a contempt petition. This River Sand Protectors Network filed a contempt petition in 2020. That was disposed of, and another petition had to be filed in 2021, which is now going on at present.
So there are 3 petitions, contempt petitions.
But the first 2 you can say are disposed of. The third one is there because you see, government keeps giving assurances,
correct.
and they say we will do this, we will take action here, we will take action there, and the whole point of the contempt petition is really not to put people behind bars so much as to get the orders implemented.
Right.
And I recall telling the court also, the fact is that if your orders are being disregarded today, people will feel that High Court orders mean nothing.
Correct,
It is important for the court to ensure that its orders are enforced just as much as it is important for the environment and the ecology to be protected. But the High Court is the highest court in the state. So we must respect the orders that come from it. Anyway, the orders covered, as I said, Mines Department, Transport Department, Police Department, Captain of Ports, and so on. There are a slew of different orders, which I can tell you. I don't know how we are on time, but different orders which are requiring, for example, they require regular patrolling of all the stretches, surprise inspections, and day and night. Intense patrolling in areas which are endemic to illegal sand mining. They require the Director of Transport to inspect every sand-laden truck and check whether they have authorization. Because the excuse generally given is, oh, it's coming from Maharashtra. But I remember when we had a bench comprising judges from Maharashtra, the judges said, what do you mean it's coming from Maharashtra? Don't they have to have also a permit to transport? How can you just say that the trucks are going without a check? So that's what the Director of Transport is supposed to do. The police are to file FIRs. The Captain of Ports is to inspect on the coast and seize the canoes and destroy the canoes which are...
even destroy.
Even destroy. That is a requirement. But they started something new, which is suction pumps. Now they don't necessarily have people on the boats. They have a truck and they have a pump which goes straight into the river. It sucks it out, loads directly onto the pump and onto the truck.
So they suck the sand in.
They suck the sand out
yes.
from the riverbed. No deposit on the riverbank and then reloading. This is a direct thing. Once the truck is filled, off it goes. So these are the routes which are known to them. There are certain rivers, there are certain points in which you can go. But there is no monitoring that is going on. And the court was so exasperated that they specifically highlighted the Inspector General of Police, DGP, the Director General of Police, and said, if you don't do something, we will take action against you. Then the Director General of Police passed a standing order. That was Dr. Indradev Shukla. He was then the DGP. On 17 March 2022, he passed a detailed standing order which directs the police to do patrolling at all the sites, maintain 24-hour vigilance, and he issued a step-up kind of thing. You will report to the higher-up, higher-up will report to higher-up, and so on. But unfortunately, we are sometimes still in the same place. I did see some immediate action taking place thereafter. But it's also related to the fact that in the monsoons, the sand mining is somewhat less and it steps up again from September, October onwards. So now again you are finding, the moment the rains abate a little bit, you are finding that sand mining is happening all across the
So a lot of
place.
points to unpack, and we'll go discuss all of them one by one. Vinayak, what is the ground situation? Norma has given a very broad outline and a good outline of what's happening. What do you see happening in your area in Penne, in Uge actually?
Speaking on this issue, because we are facing this problem last 10 years. When I was elected as a sarpanch of the village from that time and previously also, illegal sand extraction was going on, and because of that, environmental and ecological is being very badly affected, due to which especially my Ugwe village has been suffered lot because of, according to me, at least 100 meters of fertile land has gone in the river.
100 meters. 100.
Yeah,
Okay.
recently. Due to Ugwe Gram Sangharsha Samiti, I am the convener and the office bearers, others. I am very thankful to learned advocate Cloud Alvarez and Norma Alvarez also, because of their efforts in the High Court. No doubt I have filed a petition, but because of that efforts, since last, I may say, 2.5 months, this activities has been totally stopped.
Last 2.5 months.
Yes,
Okay.
2.5 months. I can mention the date also.
Yes, please.
Since starting of the rainy seasons, no sand activities, because it has been totally stopped because of the High Court order which has
Right.
obtained by the
Right.
learned our advocate.
You were one of the first people to move the court, wasn't it?
No,
Initially?
only we have filed a affidavit
I see.
in this connection.
Right,
So these are the activities going on
Right.
in our area.
So your affidavit is in connection with the contempt?
Yes,
Yeah,
the
same-
same petition.
Oh, same
same
petition.
petition.
Okay.
And I had given the detail, what are the activities going on.
Right.
Because we have noticed, along with the other villagers,
Right.
we had been watching our area, especially Ugwe, up to Poraskade sites.
Okay.
And during night time, since 11 o'clock till morning 5 o'clock, about 60 to 70 canoes were operating in the
60 to 70.
70
Mm-hmm.
operating in the river, and the rampant illegal activities of sand extraction was going on.
Tell me, were the locals involved or where did they come from? Did
Yeah.
these trucks come
Yeah.
from outside? Did the canoes come from outside? Where did they come?
Actually, from my village, none is engaged in this.
Okay.
But only this is the village known as Poraskade. This is Pednam side.
Okay.
And our village is towards east side.
Right.
So most of the activities from Poraskade village, they were engaged in this illegal sand extraction. This illegal sand extraction very badly affected on our ecological as well as our fields has been destroyed.
Now tell us more about your fields. How much of that destruction has happened actually?
Mostly mostly our plantation, mangroves has all, because of they are on the beds.
Correct.
But only the coconuts, arecanuts, many trees has been destroyed because and they had fallen in the river, which is of no use. They were the coconuts were the livelihood of our farmers. I may say that these activities who are engaged in this, they are doing all this and going richer and richer day by day. But my village, my people, because they have lost their livelihood, they have lost the coconut plantation, they have lost the arecanut, many big trees also fallen in the, still there in these. So if possible, I may request also So we can get a video of this
Sure,
total
sure, and you
destruction.
should play
Yeah,
this.
yeah,
Yes,
sir.
absolutely.
And because of this total destruction, all villagers were very much annoyed, and there were scuffles between those activities. And
Okay.
Yeah.
So villagers, you are saying that they went and challenged
Challenge and
the sand mafia. Huh.
the sand mafias also assaulted our people also.
When did this happen?
This was about 1 year back.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
Yeah, and
So there was violence witnessed
violence
where your people went to defend
defend
the land, as it
our
were, and
land,
they attacked
yeah.
your people.
They attacked my people.
Were there any serious injuries?
Yes, and already a fire has been lodged at Parnam police station. That 2-3 FIRs was there. Also, every time we have filed our applications, our complaints to the Parnam police station.
Right.
But unfortunately, to say that police were coming to the site only when these canoes go down to
Right.
Paraskade village.
Right.
I don't know how.
A typical
they
case
are-
of the police arriving late. It
Yeah.
happens in Hindi movies, but happens here also.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. Because
Yes.
I should not speak on this more because I'm also from the police department, retired.
Okay.
That's interesting.
That's interesting.
It will
Yes.
be not good to.
Yes, but of
Yeah.
course.
But I must tell you that it's because it was reported in the newspapers about. We didn't know about this Ugain, the Tirakal River problem. And it was reported in the papers, and then I immediately looked at the papers and I said, we are dealing with the areas which are the regular ones which we know,
Right.
Bardes,
Right.
Bisholi, Ponda,
Correct.
Salset. This is happening there, and they are saying that 160 meters inward has been lost. That was a report. So we contacted him and then got his affidavit filed and put it in the High Court.
Exactly.
And the court asked what is happening. So they sent police. And the night when that same night, 50 to 60 canoes, one of those nights, the persons called up at 10 p.m. Nobody came. They called again. Then 2 police came on a motorbike and they stood there, waited there, but they had no canoes.
Right.
They had nothing to go. You cannot be a land police to stop
Absolutely,
canoes.
they don't have canoes. There's no infrastructure. I'll
The
go into
canoes
that.
just
Correct.
sailed
Yes.
away to the other side of the
Right,
bank,
right.
and they landed there, and the trucks took it off. That is what happened.
Uday, I'll bring you in. You've been listening patiently to all of us, and maybe you share the same concerns. Tell us a little bit about your area and the ground situation there.
सर आमी जेन्ना हे जे सँड मायनिंग करताले तेका लागून आमी खूब थोडेशे आमी लिगली कितें जाता जाल्यार पळयताले पोलीस कंप्लेंट मामलेदार डेप्युटी कलेक्टर अशा गोश्टीक लागून आमी काय हातींत घेवंक ना थोडेशे पण ते आमी जेन्ना विचारपाक गेले आनी कितें करपाक गेले कंप्लेनी केले तेन्ना जर ते सँड माफियांक कळ्ळें की ते आमचेर खंय तरी एक दावो कशें करताले आनी तेका लागून आमकां पर्सनली एक हेडेक जाताले हय तेका लागून आमी अशें 2008 पासून हे ते सारकें चालू जालें आनी लास्टाक कितें जालें आमची जमीन जे 10 मिटराक जी न्हंय आशिल्ली ती 200 ते 250 मिटर आतां जाली म्हणटकूच आमची जमीन जी न्हंयच्या कठड्याक आसली ती कितलीशी तरी अशी आमची कबार जाल्या तितूर कोकोनट ट्री मँगोज
Which village is this?
उगवे
Uday only.
Uday
Okay.
village.
आनी जेन्ना अशें जावपाक लागलें तेन्ना आमी न्याय आतां कोणा कडेन मागतले आयज आमी जर तांकां सांगपाक गेले जाल्यार ते म्हणटाले आमी तुमचे हितूर काडीत ना न्हय पण ते रातचे हे सगळे करताले वेव्हार रातचे जर आमी पुलिसांक आफोवपाक गेले जाल्यार पुलीस येताले ते कोस्टलाचे येताले वयल्यान 2 व्हिलरीन येताले आनी कितें जालें गेले आनी ते वयताले कोस्टलाच्यांक एक्चुली कितें करप तेंच्यांनी तेंचे कडेन बोटी आसपाक जाय बोटी तेंचेर केन्नाच अवेलेबल ना म्हणजे ती ऑफिसां कित्याक जाय ते कोस्टल पुलीस कित्याक जाय आनी कोस्टलाचे पुलीस जर रोडा वयल्यानच पळोवन वयतात जाल्यार न्हंयतले तांकां कशें मेळटले लोक आनी मागीर जेन्ना कंप्लेंट जाली आनी कितें जालें तेन्ना आमचे परत कांय दिसांनी आमकां हांगा पणजे ते आमी हें केल्लें न्हय थोडेशे कंप्लेनी बी दिल्ले तेका लागून आमकां हांगा आउटपोस्टार हांगा आपयले पणजे आपयले जाल्यार पळय धडधडीत ते सारके खोटे उलयतात कॉन्स्टेबल ते पुलीस बी कोण तरी आसले ते धडधडीत खोटे उलयताले की आमी ते व्हिडिओ पळोवंकच ना तितूर त्या टायमार मूनलायट आशिल्ली जाल्यार आमकां सगळ्यांक दिश्टी पडटा तांकां आमी जे दाखयल्या हे टॉर्च मारून दाखयल्या की हे पळय रेंव हांगा अशे उडयन बोल्लेले आहा डायरेक्टली ते कितें सांगताले आमकां त्या टायमार हय आशिल्ली म्हणून आनी जेन्ना तेंचे स्टेटमेंट घेतले तेन्ना आमकां ना म्हणून सांगले मागीर आमी हेच्या वेळार अशें जेन्ना घडटा तेन्ना आमी गव्हर्मेंटा कडेन कितें आनी कशें उलोवप कितें सांगप तांकां हे जर कोस्टलाचे पुलीस थंय पावनात हे जे पेट्रोलियमाचे असतात ते येतात आनी अशे धडधडीत खोटे उलोवन वयतात मामलेदार तो भितर सरूंक शकना रातचो येवं शकना तरी सान आमी तेजे कडेन कंप्लेंट दिल्या पूण ह्या गोश्टीचेर कांयच आमकां परतून हें जायना तेंचेर आतां जर पळयशात जाल्यार जे आमचे उगवे वयले बेल्टार अजूनय रेती उसप चालू आसा.
One quick question, Nama, before we take like a break. See, the thing is, what from what he's been saying, there seems to be a lot of frustration that the concerned authorities are not acting upon their complaints with the sensitivity that it deserves. With whether it's a coastal police, whether it's a mamladar, whether this lack of response from the authorities, can we put it down to connivance with the sand mafia?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that the police are in more than one ways involved with the whole economics of the sand extraction because there is money involved in it, and there are I don't know to say rumors or reports that the police themselves are owning several of the canals and that they are involved in this whole business. And I think this must be true because it's not possible for trucks to go by without the police noticing it, canoes to be plying without anybody noticing it. So I'm sure that there is a connivance in this matter of the stopping of the illegal sand mining. About the threats that people have received.
Correct.
The activists have received threats if they make complaints. And when I brought this up in the High Court saying that, we are trying to protect the ecology and it's at the risk of our lives, then the court appointed 2 nodal officers, a deputy collector by name for North and a deputy collector by name for South. And the deputy collectors were to receive the complaints, not disclose the complainant's name, and pass on the message to the respective correct authority. I found that the nodal officers simply were receiving the complaint and like a postal office, they were sending it to everybody and they were not collating the action that was done. So when we asked for the reports, they gave a list of, I received this complaint, I sent it to all the authorities. I said, we don't need a postal service. We needed somebody to
These were nodal officers appointed by the government.
By the High Court.
By the High Court, right.
By name, because I asked for it.
Right.
So it was a total failure, and I really told the court that I don't see the reason for nodal officers because we don't need a postal service.
Right.
We needed somebody to send the complaint and get the action back from the respective complainant.
Before we take a short break, a couple of points, a summary of what all the esteemed panelists have said. See, the thing is, of late, and it's a tangential reference that I'm bringing, we hear of murder cases happening. We hear of a young TikTok star and a leader dying in mysterious circumstances. You hear of so many murders happening in Goa. The reason is, I feel that these murders and these violent activities are no different from the murder of the environment that is happening in Goan villages. What I'm essentially saying is that the sand extraction and the destruction of our environment is as big a murder as a bloody murder of a human being. And the moment you start taking ecology as seriously as a human life, I think things are going to get slightly better. But here the matter is extremely sensitive and it's also complex. Because you see the involvement or the alleged involvement of the police, the authorities, and so on and so forth, and obviously very powerful forces, could be politically linked also, which is ensuring that this violation of our rivers and the stealing of the sand, as it were, almost has a tacit blessing of the powers that be. And that is where the danger lies. And as far as threats to activists are concerned, that's really, really unfortunate, because all of them, all the panelists here are fighting, without any concern for the risks that they face because of their commitment towards this land and what Goa means to them. But we must, before we take a break, put this on record that the sand mafia, quote unquote, are not not just flies on the wall. They are not innocent bystanders. It's a big stake operation. And if activists, and I'm saying this on record, till today, activists are getting threats, not just for fighting in the courts, but raising their voices in different platforms, including the media. We'll quickly get on to another issue here is, now, why do we call this illegal sand mining? Primarily because right now no mining is happening due to permits. There are 4 new environmental clearances that have been given, but in a manner that needs to be questioned, and I'll ask Norma about it. But the point here is that for the last 3 years, nobody seems to have taken any permits and done mining legally. The other issue is that environment clearances have not been issued either. So this activity is going on in a manner which is absolutely preposterous. And if anybody turns around and say, or a member of the building industry say, where do we get the sand from if we do not sand mine? The answer is that do it legally and take all the necessary permissions if you have to. So Norma, a quick word on the EC clearances and why is this going on so illegally when you can easily take permits?
See, there is, it's mining, sand mining. Just like you have ore mining,
right.
So there is sand mining. There is something called the minor mineral rules. And under the minor mineral rules, every material from the earth, whether it is gravel, sand, mud, stones, everything has a value. And you got to pay a fee. For sand, for example, it is 5 rupees per cubic meter.
Okay.
You have to get a sand mining permit. But there was a major case in the Supreme Court called Deepak Kumar versus the state of Haryana,
okay,
where it was about in North India, there was the laterite mining that was happening there. And the Supreme Court passed very detailed guidelines saying that even if it is for a small area, you have to have an environment clearance. Ministry drew up what is called Sustainable Sand Mining Guidelines. Now, these have to be complied with in order to do sand mining and to get a permit. There was no permits issued in Goa. People were just removing sand wherever they wanted, some by hand. Then it went on to suction pumps and so on. And therefore, the High Court stopped all that mining.
Right.
So, from 2018 onward, there have been no permits granted. The NIO was involved in doing a study, and the NIO did a study for the Goa State Biodiversity Board. And once they got that study, the Goa State Environment Authority issued 4 permits. There were 7 applications, and 4 areas were considered, all of them in the Shapura River.
Right.
Now, the interesting and curious part is that the applications were made by the collector, and the environment clearances are given to the collector, who's not the person who's going to do the sand mining.
Yes, correct.
So, the Goa Foundation has challenged those permits on, first of all, on a very technical
But how can you give a EC to a government official?
How do you give it to a government official?
Right.
And he's going to distribute it.
But this is unheard of.
Unheard of.
Right.
They have not distributed as yet, but the environment clearance have been given on 12th of October 2021. So far, nothing has been issued except the paper is there.
Right.
Second thing is, as per the requirement, they have to do a public consultation.
Right.
People like Vinayak and Uday over here have to say what is the problem in their areas.
Of course, correct.
People who are living along the Tirakal River, along the Shapura River, have to say the problems. Third thing is that they have done nothing about the sensitive features. You're giving in the Shapura River, very next to it is the turtle nesting sites of Morji Beach.
Right.
Have you considered that? Have you considered the impact on the turtle nesting site? On the one side, we are protecting turtle nestings. The other side, you are giving sand mining. You will disturb the entire ecology.
Right.
Fourth thing is, in order to give an EC, you have to have a district survey plan and you have to have a sand mining plan. The sand mining plan is what is the area that you will cover, how will it be monitored, and so on. None of this was done. Just these.
And a collector cannot be giving a sand mining plan.
And the collector cannot be given.
Yes.
And one more point is there, which is also in the court in another matter, which is that the Mines Act was amended, and there is a clause which now says that when you mine, whether it is ore or whether it is sand, you will pay a certain amount to the district mineral fund,
Yes.
which is for rehabilitation of the areas
Correct.
which have been destroyed. 25 states in India have issued the quantum of how much what is the charge to be made for the district mineral foundation is left to the state government. In the case of the major minerals, the center has fixed it. In the case of minor minerals, it's left to the state government. You will not believe 25 states have fixed the amount and are collecting revenues, and the amounts range from, in 2015 was their district mineral foundation, Andhra has collected 546 crore, Maharashtra 534 crore, even small states like Chhattisgarh 180 crores, Himachal Pradesh 45 crores, and Goa government 0.
And this is for minor minerals.
For the sand mining. So
Only for sand mining.
Only for sand mining.
Right, right.
We have gone to the court to ask why is Goa government not levying the penalty, levying the charge?
Because it's not collecting. It's not collecting
It
either.
is not collecting the royalty either, but it should be on the books, no?
Right.
What will be paid?
Right,
So
right.
now government has taken time, because when we showed that all states are collecting, why are you not fixing the rate? Goa government took the refuge that the law says the state government may fix the amount. So they said it's discretionary. But Sujoy, sand and earth is a natural resource. It's people's resource.
Of course.
State is a trustee. How can you say I will decide whether to take a fee on it or not? How can you say when you need money for rehabilitation of these areas?
This is shocking, absolutely.
Shocking.
Correct. No, I mean these are great and very, very important points, and these are not unearthed. These are issues that really need to be raised. Vinayak, if you can just discuss a little bit about what Norma said. Your own views on this, and also you were mentioning that the illegal sand mining is expanding to other areas as well.
Yes.
It's not restricting to only your village, but it's expanding. The illegality is taking root and it's spreading.
Yes.
So we can just talk about this.
In this connection, I'll mention that जरी आता कोर्टाची ऑर्डर असा आणि it is confirmed no
Right.
activities are going on, but slowly आता त्यांचे activities start झाल्या. Not in my village. माझ्या विलेजीन नसताना आमच्या उगवे विलेजीच्या वयले सायडीन तोरशा विलेज म्हणून आसा, थंय सकराळ म्हणून एक गांव आसा, थंय 4-5 कॅनॉयज रातच्या टायमार ऑपरेट करून अर्ली इन द मॉर्निंग ट्रक भरून ती थंयच्यान नाच करतात टोटली. आणि ही एक्टिविटीज हळूहळू चालू जर उरली जाल्यार हळूहळू ती सकयल येतली. बिकॉज ऑफ दीस इलिगल सँड एक्सट्रॅक्शन लास्ट इयर हायवे कंस्ट्रक्शन चालू असताना at Porascade, totally washed away in the totally न्हंयत गेल्लो व्हांवून. आणि it was a big threat. Now also I say that it is a big threat to a railway bridge also, which is across the river, Karakol river, at that Amere village. आणि हेका लागून it is very easy to find out की एक्टिविटीज चालू असा काय ना हे पुलिसाक फाइंड आउट करपाक व्हडलें ना, बिकॉज दीस एक्टिविटीज इज गोइंग ऑन on the engaging laborers.
Right.
Now about 4 to 5 gangs, according to my information, 4 to 5 gangs are operating at Sakral village.
How far is it from Uge?
This will be about 7 to 8 kilometers.
Okay.
Yeah. It is in the river itself. मेन सांगपाचें म्हणजे ह्या प्रॉब्लेमाक लागून उगवे गांवचे आमचे जे स्थानिक आसात तांकां इतलो प्रॉब्लेम जाल्लो आसा सध्या. एक तर जास्तीत जास्त लँड आमची मोपा एअरपोर्टाक गेल्ली आसा आमच्या विलेजर्सांची. शेतकऱ्यांची. त्याच्या उपरांत गव्हर्मेंटान आनी एक मदींच कॅनल म्हणून करपाक गेल्लो जो तिराळीच्यान हाडलेलो आसा, तो गांवाच्या सारको वयर माथ्यार आसा. आनी तो जातकूच मातशें सकयल येयल्या उपरांत हायवे आतां एक्सपेन्शन इतलें जाल्लें आसा, ज्या कडेन तांकां अंडरग्रावंड जाय आसले, अंडरवे जाय आसले, तेंच्यांनी अजून कांयच प्लॅनिंग केल्लें ना. आनी ह्या सगळ्या प्रॉब्लेमान हे अशे प्रॉब्लेम जाता जाता न्हंय कडेन पावल्या उपरांत रेवेंक लागून सगळीं शेतां आमची न्हंयत वचत आसात. ताका लागून फुडल्यो पिढयो ज्यो आसा हे खूब त्रासान पडपाचे आसात. कित्याक चडशी लँड आमची आतां थंय उरोवंकूच ना. उरल्या ती हे रेंव काडटात आनी ताका लागून सगळी आसलेली नसलेली सगळी रेवेंक लागून सगळी न्हंयत कोसळून पडटा. आनी मेन सांगपाचें म्हणजे लास्ट टायम आमी जो कोट केल्लो, जस्ट नाव आमचे सरान विचारलेले की त्या इन्सिडेंटाक ज्या दिसा सगळे विलेजर्स गॅदर्ड जाल्ले आनी मागीर पुलीस आपयल्ले, पुलीस आपोवन तेंच्यांनी थंय पळयले त्यो कॅनॉयस आसा, पण जेन्ना इन्क्वायरी चालू जाली ते डिनाय जावपाक लागले. पण ताका लागून आतां आय मे मेन्शन दॅट विजिलन्स इन्क्वायरी इज गोईंग ऑन अगेन्स्ट दोज ऑफिसर्स.
Okay.
This was an incident of intervening night of 12th April
Right.
22.
When they seized those boats.
That's because the court asked them, what are
Right.
you doing about it?
Right.
How did two police go there and what did they see and what did they do?
Correct.
Yeah.
And why did they go 1 hour late?
Right.
The call came at 10. Why did they reach out 11? Why did they
By
reach
which
at
time
12?
most of the boats had gone away.
They were almost away and they just sailed further down the line.
But they seized some.
No,
No, nothing was seized that night. At
Okay.
least.
that night nothing was seized.
Okay.
But afterwards,
After that,
everything-
next day they did pick out,
Right.
then they showed that they had seized the boats and all that.
And the mining department was also in action.
Okay.
And the police, along with the police department, they have seized the canoes. And those seized canoes are still lying along the bank of the river.
Tell me, what about the destruction of the bunds? Basically, what impact has sand mining had on the bunds and the fields? If you can just tell us a little bit. You did tell us earlier, but you can just elaborate a little bit, especially with regard to bunds.
Regarding bunds, most of our land has been gone in the river, collapsing all the major bunds and the mangroves along by the side of the river.
Gone.
And we are worried about the coconut plantation, palm groves.
You mentioned that, yes.
Yeah,
correct, yes.
have been gone in the river, which is destructive and very loss to the villagers. And this was the livelihood of our villagers there. Actually, I may mention that हे रेंव काडपी जे आसात ते दिसान दीस गब्बर जायत आसात आनी माझे शेतकरी लोक आसात ते दिसान दीस सामके गरीबांतले गरीब. इवन they cannot go with their application to the higher authorities. They cannot afford that. They cannot afford. तेंच्यांनी ते करूंक शकनात ते कित्याक
See,
सद्या
compensation is
livelihood-
a huge issue. Uday, if you can just quickly, I'll take off from where he left off.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about the lack of compensation, the difficulty of people getting compensation. For instance, farmers who've lost their land, people who lost their trees, people whose fields are flooded. Just tell us a little bit about how difficult it is to get compensation. Yes, sir.
सर ते कितें आहा जाणा आतां पळय इतले आतां आमचे लँड कबार जायत वयता कबार जायत गेले जाल्यार तेका प्रोटेक्शन वॉल म्हणून कितें तरी तेंच्यांनी पयलीं करपाक जाय आसलें मागीर हे आतांचे तरी आमचे वाचतले आसले पूण ते कॉम्पेन्सेशन आमकां ते कितें दिवच शकले ना आनी कॉम्पेन्सेशन जर आमी मागपाक गेले जाल्यार तेंचो जो लेस जो रेट आहा ते रेटीन आमकां जमीन दुसरे कडेन मेळोय शकना सर तांकां लागून हेच्या पयलीं सुद्दां हांवें मामलेदाराक सुद्दां म्हटलेलें की आमकां तुमी कितें करात रेंव काडटात जर न्हंय वाडयतात थंय बोटी घालतात
Right.
ती तुमी सियार झोन म्हणून तुमी डिक्लेअर करतात तुमकां जाय तशें हें करतात म्हणजे गव्हर्मेंटाचो हांगा मेन मुद्दो आहा की ती न्हंय रुंद जावन थंय आमकां बोटी घालून ते हें करपाक जाय कित्याक आमचो जो व्हाळ आशिल्लो तो तेका पासून तेंच्यांनी सियार झोन लायला सर आयज आमची शेती वयता, आमी ती शेती इतले दीस आमच्या कडेन आशिल्ली, आमी तेजेर जे वर्साचे हेचेर आमी ते पोट भरताले, आमी तुमचे गव्हर्मेंट सर्विसेची सुद्दां आशा केन्ना केल्ली ना. आमी ते कोसोवन आमच्या आवय बापाय बरोबर ते शेत करताले, पण ते शेत आमचे नश्ट जाले. आयज हे सांगचें न्हू म्हटल्यार आनी तुमकां एक सांगपाचें म्हटल्यार विनायक सरान सांगलेले तशें वयर मोपा एअरपोर्टाक गेले, तेच्या खाला आमची थोडीशी काजूची झाडां आसात. मदल्यान तेंचे कॅनलाक लागून बंद दवरला कॅनल, पूण बेश्टे आमची जमीन पिड्ड्यार केल्या हेंच्यांनी. सकयल आमचे इल्लेशे रोडाक घरां आहा, तेच्या खाला एक हायवे गेला हो NH-16, आनी ते रोडाक आतां परतून आनी रुंदाय वाडले. आमची जमीन अक्षरशः कबार केली. आनी ह्या रोडाक लागून आमी गव्हर्मेंटा कडेन कितले फावटी तरी आमचे महलेन तांकां सांगिल्लें की आमकां ओवर ब्रीज जाय ते, ना जाल्यार आमी ते आशिल्ले शेतय आमी करूं शकना. आमकां जो रोड आमची घरा वयले सायडीन उरता मोदी रोड, सकयले सायडीन ती आमची शेतां उरता, ती शेतां फाल्यां सगळे कोण करचे ना. कितें रहदारी वाडटली थंय, गाडयार ट्राफीक भरपूर वाडटलो, आमी शेतां करूंच शकना. मागीर हे सुद्दां एक ऑप्शन दिलें, पण ते ऑप्शन गव्हर्मेंट हे करूं शकना. तशेंच सरान सांगलें ते हिसपा की थिंगा हायवे जो रेल्वे ब्रीज आहा, रेंव काडून काडून ते न्यू करताले रोड, तो रोड अक्षरशः अर्दो कबार जाला आनी पडला. आतां जर तुमी बाकी हे जे आमचे ओवर ब्रिजाचे बी तुमी डायवर्ट करूं शकना जाल्यार हे रोड तुमी पडलो म्हणटच फुडले वाटेन डायवर्ट कसो केलात. मागीर हे आमकां खंय तरी आमकां तुमी हे करपाक जाय. मागीर शेतकऱ्यांक आमकां फटोवंक सोदतात अक्षरशः. आमकां एअरपोर्टाच्या बाबतींतय सगळे वाटेन कबार केल्यात, हे वाटेनय कबार केल्या. फाल्यां सकाळीं आमचें हे अस्तित्वच हांगा रावचें ना.
No, these stories are really, really sad and heartbreaking as to what. Noma, can you just tell us a little bit about the High Court directions that have so far been not followed or violated, and also the DGP ID Shukla's standing order, and what it entails and what's not being followed?
So the High Court directions briefly were, number one was patrolling of the rivers and roads. Now this was to be done by the police and by the director of transport.
Right.
They had to patrol, regular patrolling through flying squads of all the stretches of rivers randomly day and night in order to surprise offenders and stop the illegalities. Secondly was marine and coastal police to assist the flying squads. Intensive patrolling 3 times a day in notorious areas. Now the point is, you are asking the police and the flying squad, but the flying squad for hill cutting can go by the jeeps.
Right.
What are they going to do when the activity is in the
River,
rivers,
correct.
where you have to be in the water?
You can't swim.
So the flying squad comes to the place
Right.
and watches. And the coastal police, they were bought 13 or 14 boats attached to various
Coastal police
stations,
stations,
the
yes.
coastal police. They say that all the boats are
This is something we found out.
non-functional.
Even in South Goa and North Goa, boats are really
not a
non-functional.
single.
Yes, yes.
So if there is not a single boat which is available to apprehend people who are removing sand in the middle of the rivers or on the sides of the rivers,
Right.
the first direction is zero complied with, because you cannot apprehend violators. Whether you go night and day, if you cannot get into the water yourself, you can do nothing about it.
Right.
So this is not done. So I think the first cure is for the government to please get the boats ready.
Boats, yes,
And
true.
see that the boats are functional.
Correct.
It will help not only with illegal sand mining but also with LED fishing.
Absolutely, yes,
There
correct.
also they say that nothing is happening.
Which is true. Absolutely.
Which is true. So I have suggested that better not to put the director of mines or the director of transport for patrolling. Put the police for patrolling, because
Correct.
they have got people. I was only shocked to find that even in the areas where the police were patrolling, like Kurtorim area, they say sand mining is going on.
That's right,
What are
correct.
the police doing there? I am really surprised, because the police initially there was
We did our team did a site inspection in Kurtori 2 days ago, and that's what they found. That they found that the police are there in certain areas they are not there.
The same thing with CCTV. The court directed CCTV cameras at the Amona Bridge, below the Amona Bridge,
Yes.
PWD property, where there's a big open area and a gate.
Right.
The gate has a lock, but the keys are with everybody, we are told. So anybody can come in and put their boat. So finally they changed the locks and they supposedly...
Oh, the
gave-
keys were with everybody, is it?
We think the keys. How are people going in if it's
Yes,
locked?
correct.
So either the lock is something that you can open. Anyway, there used to be. CCTV camera was put. So the mining is happening about half a meter or 2 meters away or 3 meters away. So the CCTV cameras, okay, you're monitoring. I never seen a single report of who watched those cameras and what result they got.
Correct,
Because
correct.
when we were pointing it out that this is happening over here, nobody is giving us a reply.
But what is the information? The TVs are there. The CCTVs are
CCTV
there.
cameras there.
They are there.
They are
Okay.
there.
Okay.
People, two things are happening. People are seeing how much the camera can cover, and they are going further than that. So
Right.
they're going on the opposite bank or on
Right.
the other side.
Right.
The cameras were also put at the fisheries department at Oshel Shiolim,
Right.
where there was a problem. There they cured it by putting a proper compound wall and stopped the entry. So
Right.
that was dealt with, but in another way. But if you put CCTV cameras, there must be somebody watching it 24/7.
Correct.
To
Absolutely.
apprehend.
Reporting.
Otherwise,
Yes.
there is no fun in the whole
Right.
thing.
Right.
Another direction was that the transport department will stop every truck to find out whether they have a permit.
Right.
This has never been done.
Done by the transport department.
Never been
Okay.
done by the transport department. When there are a few cases. I won't say that there are no cases filed.
Right.
But they are few and far between. This is not complied with also, because if you know the routes. Goa is a place where it's not like Bombay where there are 24 roads by which you can get out of a place.
Right,
There's
right.
one road.
Correct.
One road coming out.
You block that.
You monitor that, and that is happening.
And
Now,
interstate trucks are also coming in and going around.
interstate trucks are also coming. You find out what is what. Then one of the things that they have done, complied with, is court said if you find mounds of sand, you put it into the river. That they are complying with. Whenever
Right.
they see sand, little bits of sand, they put it. But FIRs were to be filed against the owners of properties. In one case in Perne, they said the owner of the property is the police. So then they couldn't file the case against whom will you file the case? So no cases are filed against the
Right,
owners
right.
of the property.
Right.
Action to be taken. But they're putting the sandbags. They have seized the suction pumps, and the boats were supposed to be put up for auction. I opposed that, and court said yes. No putting the suction pumps on auction. I said, government, please use it wherever you want for sucking out garbage or whatever else you want to do, waste, but don't put it back on the market. And they are supposed to destroy the canoes, but they say that they have issued a tender, but nothing is done. And they have got a place for reporting. This is a broad summary of the
what.
complaint.
Okay. Before I go on to Vinayak, one quick some points on what the DGP standing order was. Because I think after a long time, there was at least one DGP who at least put out an order for the police to follow.
Yeah, it's a very detailed order.
Yeah.
And it gives the objectives. It basically reinforces the High Court direction.
Right.
And it starts at the lowest level, which is at the police station where the PI is there. Then it goes up to the PCR Panaji station. Then it goes up to the SDPO. Then it goes to the SP. So it's supposed to be a level
Right,
thing.
right.
And it also says that there will not be any delay in responding to complaints. After Mr. Shukla issued the order, which is about a 4-5 page order, it was supposed to go right up to the IGP level.
Right.
And it says that if any police officers are performing duty are found not supporting this illegal activity, not supporting such activity and not taking action, they will be viewed very seriously and so on. I have not yet seen any report which has come from the present DGP about what action has been taken against the police, because for a time the sand mining had stopped, illegal sand mining had stopped, but it also coincided with the monsoons. And I don't know right now. The court is going to hear on the 12th of September the contempt petition to find out what action has been taken by the authority. Very good on paper, very detailed, but we need to see action on the ground, and we need to see boats if we are going to
Catch them.
halt any
Correct.
illegal sand mining.
Vinay, quick response to this. What do you see on the ground? Do you see CCTV cameras being effective? Do you see boats? Do you see any of the directions of the DGP being followed?
Till now, they have not installed any CCTV cameras.
In your village?
Yeah.
Okay.
Even the patrolling they are doing, it is just on the roads.
Right. Right. Yeah, because they don't have boats.
Yes. Speaking to Terakol River, they have. I don't think they have taken the staying action into this regards because they are helpless, saying that they do not have the boats
Right.
with them.
Right.
I remember one time that even I opted to give them a boat.
You opted yourself.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
If you are really want to take action, I will arrange for a boat which you can take and take action. But that was also turned down because of the saying that we required orders from the higher authorities. So from the higher authorities, I cannot get the orders.
Correct.
Only I can arrange a boat. That is also by begging some
Right, sure.
well-wishers. Or
Sure. Correct.
even my people, even my youth have gone in this river by
Boat.
canoe,
Canoe, yes.
non-mechanized.
Right.
Madam, with your permission, I may mention that even if these people tomorrow get the permission, because I know that they cannot use mechanized boats for this purpose.
Right. They cannot. Is it?
They cannot.
Okay.
Now they had gone up to the suction pump.
Right.
And if they started in my site, it is very difficult for us to. And then there will be a very clashes and I
Right.
may say also then there will be a law and order problem also because of the villagers.
Yeah, I'll just come to that because there will obviously be a public uprising. You cannot allow this thing to happen again and again. What is shocking is that the state is armed with all the rules, regulations, high court orders, and yet the state finds itself literally crippled. And they don't seem to be too concerned about it. The worry part is that nobody is making a noise. What is shocking is that I have not heard of a single MLA making a noise in the court, and all these areas are represented by MLAs. Forget the MPs. I mean, with all due respect to them, I don't think a single MP has made any noise about this. No MLA, no political party which kind of takes to the street on so many issues.
No sarpanch.
No sarpanch has. How many
raising?
sarpanches have done this? What I'm essentially saying is that the same level of people participation that happens on other movements, whether it's double tracking or whether it's the Mole issue or whatever, we don't see that same amount of, for some reason, we don't see the same amount of involvement. Maybe the grassroots people are totally involved, and I'm going to ask Uday about this, but we don't see any political will to stop illegal sand mining, and that is what is shocking, that there's no political will or evidence that the powers that we want to even stop it. Uday, coming to you, just comment on what we've been saying right now. Also, do you feel that there will be a big people's movement against this?
कितें पिपल म्हणून आमी आतां तेका लागून खूब हे केल्यात ट्राय केल्यात हे करपाक पूण एक्शन म्हणजे गव्हर्मेंटार जाय तशी तेजेर एक्शन जायना
रायट
हा जाय तशें एक्शन जायना म्हणटकूच आमी थंय कमी पडटा आनी तेका लागून ते जे सँड माफिया आहात ते जाय तशे दादागिरीन आपल्याक जाय तशे ते कवर एरिया करतात आपल्याक जाय तशे सँड घेवन वयतात.
One question, who is the sand mafia? I'm going to ask everybody this. According to you, we say sand mafia. Who is this mafia?
ही जी रीती तिच्यान रॅम्प काढून व्हरतात आणि अनलिगल जी करतात अनलिगल व्हरतात आणि तेका कांयच गव्हर्मेंटाकाय तेचे रेव्हेन्यू ना आमकांय कितें ना आमची जमीन वयता आमकांय कितें मेळना.
Absolutely correct.
अशा लोकांक सँड माफिया म्हणटलो तर कितें म्हणटलो. तेका लागून आमकां दिसता की ही जी चोरी जाता हे जाता ते एका आमी सँड माफियात म्हणचे पडले ना सर. मागीर तेचेर आमची हे वयता आमची जमीन काबार जाता आमची झाडां काबार जाता आणि गव्हर्नमेंट हेचेर एक्शन घेयना, हेचेर आमी लॉस जाता,
रायट.
आमी कबार जाता भितर. आणि आमचे हेतूर आमचे जे आमदार, सरपंच, जर मामलेदार जर हेचेर केअर घेयनात, हेचेर जर स्ट्रिक्टली जर ते एक्शन घेयनात जाल्यार कांय दिसांनी आमी नसतले थिंगा. आमी फक्त घर बांदूनच कितें करतले, आमची शेतां कबार जाली, आमची झाडां कबार जाली. हे प्रकल्प हाडटात आनी आमच्या कपालार बेश्टे विनाकारण घालतात, कांय दिसांनी अर्द्यार बोन घालतात. मागीर अशा वेळार आमी कांय दिसांनी आमी खंय तरी दुसऱ्या जाग्यार वयचे पडले न्हय. आमचें पोट भरना जाल्यार आमी कितें करप थिंगा.
So there are two small things I want to say. One is that, the boats are owned by people from Goa, I think.
Okay.
There are people who are, but the labor that comes is very unskilled labor, which is hired. You may, from outside they
So when you say it comes from Goa, it means they are owned by people.
I do
you
believe
suppose.
that they are owned by people, because you can get the list of names from the captain of ports of those who are owning the registered canoes.
Right.
Unregistered canoes, the people will be from here. Even if you are just putting a canoe in the water, it will be from here.
Correct.
And when you ask the question about why is there no uprising, I think that, in a certain sense, all of us are little complicit, because all of us have something small to build. And everybody wants little bit of sand.
Sand, correct.
So in a certain sense, we are participant in it. But the way out is that there is something called industrial sand.
Right.
Now, why does government not make that available? Make that available. It's a little bit more costly, but you pay the price to saving your environment.
So, and where does
Make
that
it
sound?
possible.
Where does that sand come from?
It comes from stone, which is crushed
Right.
to fine powder.
Right.
At one time, Sujoy, people were taking sea sand.
Right.
That was stopped. That is not there happening. Then it's gone to river sand. So river sand was blackish, sea sand was white.
Right.
Nobody liked river sand because it was dark. We got used to it. Now the river sand has gone below the depth of 3 meters. Land is collapsing. You can get stone which is crushed to a fine powder
And sell industrial sand. That's a solution.
Industrial
Correct.
sand. And I believe that big real estate companies are using industrial sand,
Right.
because otherwise you are suddenly your source will dry up. And you won't be able to continue your building.
That's
You'll
true.
have RERA
Correct.
on you
Yeah.
and so on.
Yes.
So this is a way out. Make it possible. It may be a little more expensive, but make that possible for people to legally buy something which is good. Go around to where they are selling sand. Ask them where you are getting it from. You'll
Right.
find out the illegal sources.
Right.
But government doesn't want to do these things.
Absolutely
And
correct.
that is how.
Yeah, one has to go to the root of the matter and follow the trail, and that's all.
And find a way to allow people to construct, but not violate
Yeah,
the law.
what you're saying is that nobody is saying that don't build buildings,
Yes.
but find a way out.
Find a way out.
So, while we conclude, what are your thoughts on the solutions that are needed? Like Norma spoke about industrial sand. To essentially solve this whole problem, what are your points, solutions?
So according to me, I think 90% of canoes operating in these rivers are not registered with the captain of ports.
Right.
90%.
90%.
Yeah, it may be more than that. And most of the canoes operating in these illegal activities having no any registration and nothing.
Right.
And they have seized before also, but
So you're saying first fix this, ensure that this illegality stops.
Yeah.
Have legal canoes.
exactly.
Okay.
Second thing,
Have boats.
so second thing, those laborers coming from the Bihar, Jharkhand, Orissa, from all these sides, and actually they are staying along the bank of the river in very unhygienic.
So you're saying that the labor,
Yes,
so illegal
laborers.
labor is actually
Yeah.
staying
Just there.
Right, right.
And the boats also are just there.
Right.
Just push them in the water.
Right.
And when you see the police come, pull them out and say, I was doing nothing. It's like that.
Right. Okay.
So, if government thinks to stop this, of course, some part of the river, they have to extract sand. Otherwise, there will be again then.
But do it legally. Do it
Yeah.
according to norms.
But
Have proper
when
ethic
there is an
clearance.
objection of the people, government should not issue any license for the boats to operate in that particular area.
Right.
Considering my village, which is a very small village, badly affected due to various infrastructures.
Right.
So if this illegal activity still goes on, then one day the whole village will be in ruin. I may mention that.
Uday, before we conclude, so your last points on how do we solve this or how do we address this issue? Solution.
सोल्युशन हे आता कितें जे आमच्या आमदारान आमचे पयलीं आयकून घेवपाक जाय. आयज थंय इलेक्शनाच्या टायमार ते पार्टिकल जाता म्हणटकच आमी सोल्युशन म्हणून कोणा कडेन वचपाचें काडपाक, सोल्युशन कितें म्हणून हें करपाचें आनी ते हेचेर तेका लागून सोल्युशन म्हणल्यार लास्ट आहा ते पयलीं ते प्रोटेक्शन वॉल बांदूंक जाय. प्रोटेक्शन वॉल बांदपाक जाय. आयज आमचे जमनी गेल्ले आहात, एक 14चे उतारे आमच्या हातींत आहात, पूण जमनी न आहात, जमीन ना. बरं ती जमीन आमकां दिवपाक जाय गव्हर्मेंटान.
बेसिक ओनरशिप.
न पेक्षा तेच जमनी तेणी फूल घेवपाचे आनी आमकां तेच पद्दतीन जे हेजे जमनी शेताचे जमनी आमकां दुसऱ्या जाग्यार दिवपाचे.
रायट.
कारण आमी ते जमनी आतांचे जर गव्हर्मेंट दिता ते रेटीन आमी ते जमनी दुसऱ्या कडेन घेवं शकना. ते पयशे म्हणून आमी
व्हेरी इम्पॉर्टंट. करेक्ट.
फाल्यां सकाळ आमच्या फुडले पिढयेक आमी कांयच दवरूं शकना. ते जमनी दिले जाल्यार आमी खंय तरी ते आमचें पोट भरूं शकता आनी जॉबाचे आमकां व्हडलेशें येतना न्हय मागीर.
See, I mean, before we sum up, what is sad here is, and what Uday just said is that at the end of the day, you're playing with people's lives, you're playing with people's livelihoods, along with this being an environment destruction. Lives are getting affected. People just don't have money to do their farming. They don't have money to rebuild their lives. There will be a time when their homes are completely gone. So this helplessness is something which the government doesn't even seem to be sensitive to, or if they are, we have not seen evidence of it. Because if such a major problem is occurring in the remote villages on the banks of rivers, and there is no noise about it from either a political party or governments of the day, the matter is not raised in the assembly, not even, we will do our research, but I'll be surprised if we find even one question of sand mining raised in the last 2 or 3 assembly sessions. So what are we talking about? If the assembly is all about raising people's voices and issues, why do we not see this happening when the problem is very clear and very, very evident? But I'd like to thank all the 3 panelists for a very riveting discussion, and even if it's a drop in the ocean, I would say that it's a step forward towards at least highlighting this issue as much as we can, and all of us are watchdogs in our own ways, and I think it's very important for this vigilante service that many of us provide to continue, so that at least this rampant illegality doesn't go unchallenged, and that's all we can do. I thank all of you all for taking your time off and giving such insightful thoughts on this very sensitive matter. Thank you very much.